Excellent. So I guess I'm moderating, right?
I think so.
Okay, excellent. So before we start, how many people here think they know what an AI agent is? Right. How many people think an AI agent is ChatGPT? Okay, I think we're on to a good thing. So let's start off. We've got some real experts. We had some practice calls, and they were like the real thing. So I'd like to introduce our distinguished panel. So we'll start from this end to this end. Could you introduce yourselves, please?
Sure. So my name is Pepe. I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of Melow. And essentially, we build AI agents for data teams focused on data engineering, data cleaning, data ontology, and really being an extra support for those manual tasks that data engineering and data science team might face on a daily basis. So pretty well versed in the space, work on this every day, and yeah, very excited to share my thoughts with you guys.
Hi, I'm Yiming. I'm Chief AI Officer at Eunice. I've been basically leading the development of AI and data and AI products at Eunice. So what we do at Eunice is we are trying to help all kinds of organizations to onboard, continuously monitor the risks from crypto assets using AI agents. Well, the buzzword. So before I joined Eunice, I've been working on mainly around mathematical formulation of various different problems, automatic control of chemical plants, sort of in a adjacent area of AI. But now I fully moved into AI agent world. Okay.
Hi everyone. I will start with a question. Have you all had coffee? We're after lunch. I want to make sure no one's sleeping. Okay. Yeah? Good. Perfect. Hi, I'm Konstantina Kapetanidi. I am leading globally CRM, client data, and AI sales enablement for Schroders. For those who don't know Schroders is the first or the biggest asset manager in the UK, and I think the fourth or the fifth globally. What that means is that my teams face up to around 3,000 internal stakeholders, and we're building platforms and solutions which allow our people to go out to our clients and talk to them in a smarter way, allowing them to make better investment solutions and to buy our products in a better way. That's pretty much it.
Hi, everybody. My name's Tom Ellis. I'm an architect manager at AWS. I think there's a lot of our customers here today. Just a quick show of hands, AWS customers using AWS. Thank you, panel. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Great to see you all. Great. I'll look forward to meeting some of you afterwards as well. But me and my team, we look after software companies in the UK and Ireland. We help them build on AWS, and obviously that includes AI and integrating AI and AI agents and AI assistants into their software and trying to get the best of that on AWS.
Excellent. So we're going to start with the basic question, but we've got a really good representation of startups and sort of big hyperscaler companies and finance companies. But let's start with the question, right? So we've all heard these headlines. Just this week, Amazon, 70%, they've got a machine, AI robot in their factories that can do 70% of the work that humans can do. We've had this, recently, the famous quote of 300 million jobs could be lost to AI. A lot of people talking about the opportunities as well. Let's ask our questions, right? Let's ask the basic question. What is an AI agent and how does it work? So feel free, whoever wants to go first.
Sure. So, an AI agent is essentially, built on top of a reasoning layer. It's powered by LLMs and essentially can execute any human action the way that it would. So it's essentially a workflow that's automated and it has reasoning and it can take autonomous decisions and it can execute it on different tools, across different stacks and across different contexts. So it's really like having a mini employee that can essentially carry out a specific task. Obviously, they can be as complex as you want to make them, but that's how I'd try to describe it to my grandmother.
Let's go.
That's really good explanation. It's right on the spot. To me, what AI agent is, it's a piece of software system, to be honest. It's a piece of software system that can reason, can make plans, so it be able to plan, make decisions to decide what kind of action it's going to be able to take. Once the action is taken, so we have the external world, interact with the external world, and make the next decision. So it's a logical step of tool calling and tool use in response to the environment is in. So if it is an agent that handles, in our case, due diligence, the environment will be the maximum amount of information it gets from the internet.
So two of the buzzwords that I've been looking at are the word agentic and the word generative with AI on the other side of it. Everybody's the same, right? So agentic AI and generative AI. Tom, Konstantina, how does agentic AI and generative AI work with agents? What's the relationship?
Yeah, I can pick that one up. So I kind of look at it as in a path in history. What did we do before LLMs were around or when Gen AI was around? In process automation, we had RPA, robotic process automation, that we could give a set of rules to an engine and expect a set of results back and program those, right? It's very, very fast to do that, right? Not as flexible as it could be, though. So what's come along with AI and generative AI is that with the invention of LLMs, you can then plug them in using some code, using an agent, to then do something similar, but being able to interpret results in a different way, being able to adapt, being able to think and reason and work out how do I respond to this output, rather than a very fixed set of rules.
So do they all work together, Konstantina?
I think they do, and there is an important factor in that I was speaking about yesterday at another panel, and it's the fact that the agents can also take feedback and implement on that feedback loop and directly, right? And one of the things I was trying, I did a presentation for my team, and I actually did a panel and I said, can you I had a picture, and it was 2 men and 2 women, and I said, I want you to create a comic picture from the picture that I uploaded. And it created a comic picture, but it was 4 men. And I wrote on ChatGPT, I was like, that is not diverse, and that's not what I uploaded. And it wrote back to me. I remember ChatGPT writing back to me, I'm very sorry, and I appreciate your feedback. I will ensure that all my answers from right now are going to be very diverse towards you. So I think this is also very important.
Yeah. So did you want to go ahead?
No, I was going to say you're completely right, and I think it's a core thing. You can train them, you can give them feedback. They have you can call a knowledge graph as well, so they can get better at executing tasks over time, and that really makes them a very powerful thing when you deploy them in an enterprise setting, because it can understand, it knows how to do things, and it can really execute them better over time.
Yeah. So the word agent is being used for everything now, right? So coming from the world of mobile, I believe that one of the most successful adoptions that we've had of technology has been the mobile phone. I'm old enough to remember being at university. Don't guess my age, just say under 50, right? At university. And basically nobody had a mobile. I remember buying my first mobile. Now 90% of the world's population has a mobile phone, right? So the adoption is massive. We're talking about AI agents in the same way where we're going to have mass adoption. But does that mean a move away from the mobile phone application-centric world we have today, where we access services and applications via mobile, to one where you have an agent-centric? And what does that mean? So I'm going to, Tom, Konstantina, Yiming, Pepe, let's just chip in, right? What does it mean?
I mean, I think you're going to see a lot of adoption of AI agents, but I think something that we were talking about in one of the pre-sessions that we had is how do you actually translate that into business context and into good business outcome, right? And it's really that adoption within organizations, within people to actually, offload tasks to agents. That's going to be, I think, the biggest challenge or tricky thing to unlock to see that kind of mass adoption.
So moving from business applications to agent-centric applications in business as well as for consumer. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would see this slightly differently between different worlds. If we're talking about consumer products, people would like to have more personalized solutions. Maybe one of the directions is to go for more agentic approach. Instead of having a phone, you have to click on various different apps. You have a chatbot say, hey, can you open the app? Can you book me a dinner? Can you just talk to my mom and make sure she can actually come and take the tube to the dinner place and don't miss the train? So maybe for consumer, that's maybe one of the best solution. Then the direction of that travel will go towards more agentic solution. For business, or more serious setup, like what we are working on, we're working in a highly regulated area. We're dealing with cryptocurrencies. We're dealing with compliance. I guess the movement or the trend will be slightly different. especially when it comes to professional services. Like, you can't delegate all your responsibility to the agent and let the agent to do the work for you. Compliance officer would want to actually interrogate what exactly is happening, what action do you take, is it actually right, I'm not happy with that solution, I will need you to respond to my comments. So that kind of feedback loop, is it best to have just a chatbot, or is it best to have one chatbot and a complete UI with all the traceabilities? It really depends. I would say this is very much similar to any kind of technology development, including mobile, is whatever the final form the UI or UX would be the best one that's fit for purpose for different types of personas you're looking at. So can't make a prediction, but I hope that's going towards more agentic solution.
Jump in. Go for it.
I just wanted to say, and I don't want to derail this conversation, but just one thing here. I feel that agentic AI and Gen AI could also be a buzzword here. And the reason being is a lot of companies have this FOMO because they're going in, they're saying, yes, let's adopt it. But what does that actually mean? Because they need to know why they're adopting it and what are the use cases they're solving for. So before they go and think about let's adopt it, they need to ask why. What are the problems they're solving for? So that's the first thing that I wanted to think about. And I lost my trail of thought and I don't remember. So I'll pass it over to you, Tom, and then I'll come back to my second point because I can't remember it.
I hope I can get you back on track. But one of the things I see, I work with a lot of SaaS providers, and this is really a great opportunity for them to integrate with many other components, other software. So with an agentic approach and wrapping a common protocol around your service, your go-to-market of your software, your user experience, whether it be on mobile or just a progressive web app, you can adapt and connect into other services. So think of perhaps an HR application that you can now book your time off, but you can also maybe book your flights for you as well if it's linked in, it's a business application. That you can think of many of those that exist today that could be adapted to have an agentic approach to then link through to other systems. Perhaps they would have done that in the past with an API, but really wrapping it with an agent will give you a lot more flexibility and a lot more power in your application.
So is it about intelligence, right? So one of the things, I work in IoT, Internet of Things, and we work with cars, drones, and some of the opportunity we're seeing here is to bring intelligence to the edge, i.e. intelligence to the device that wasn't there before. You can have business logic, but now it's intelligence, and the agent is the middleware that allows the device to speak to the intelligence, but agentic makes different forms or different types of intelligence available, right? Because you can have them sort of linked. Is that how you view, or what's your view?
I think it's also reimagining the process. Because, and the reason why I'm saying that is because this is something that we've never, or we had not had that much access to before. Because AI has been around for many years, but Gen AI and agentic AI is not something that was here for the masses, for all of us. This low code, no code, and all of these things did not exist before. Therefore, we have to think that this is not we take the process for granted and we just go and plug in the new thing. It's where we need to sit down and say, if we didn't have it, if we had a blank piece of paper, how would we think of the process from the beginning? So it's all about reimagining the process and thinking about something that doesn't exist now, but we have to think about the future. And in 3 years, what exists today is going to be something totally different.
I just want to provoke the audience, right? So the rise of AI agents increasing in our workforce, in our daily lives, in our businesses, does that mean that the role of humans decreases, right? How many of you think that AI agents will replace people, and how many of you think that you'll have more people and more AI agents? So hands up if you think AI agents will replace people in the workforce. Interesting. And how many of you think that, like computers and other forms of automation, that you'll have more people in the workforce and more AI agents? Interesting perspective. What do you think, guys?
I mean, I think, and this might be a bit of a controversial opinion, but I think AI agents will help augment all the things that you can do as an employee, as a person, and I might be a bit optimistic, but I think it will really help us as employees or as humans to be able to do the things that we actually like, as opposed to being stuck in doing all that menial like grunt work. And I think that's where the real value lies. Is like, getting that 20%, 30%, sort of repetitive manual tasks out of your way, and being able to concentrate on things that you might actually enjoy within your job, or not having to go through kind of scheduling issues, or maybe like booking if you're thinking about your personal life. So it might be a bit of an optimistic take, but I like to think of AI agents and AI in that regard.
Yeah, I hold similar view. I absolutely think the AI agents, as powerful as they are here to enhance human beings. They are here to help us to reduce the amount of tedious work you need to do. Meanwhile, you regain the time and then focus on more value-added work. So I use all sorts of AI tools. I have like 5 or 6 different AI tools on my phone. They work following my prompts and instructions and then trying to achieve what I want them to achieve. So I'm still here. It's just like I can get 5 or 6 different things done in a relatively short time, which I couldn't do previously. Within the line of our company works, it's in a highly regulated environment. When we work with our clients, one of the approach we take is, actually the highly valued approach we take is not fully autonomous agents, unfortunately, it's human in the loop or human on the loop. When we work with our first clients, there is no kind of direct like headcount reduction. There is no one get fired within the team. What happened was, with the help from our AI agents, they actually managed to do 6 months of work within 1 month of time with a 90% of cost reduction. And I was a bit worried initially, like, oh, what's going to happen to a bunch of analysts afterwards? Then the company actually gained the time, moved them to the next project. What happened is the team got split into 2. They managed to work on 2 projects and bring in 5 times the revenue for the company. And meanwhile, the whole team was happier. That's kind of my view and my observation. It's kind of
But Tom's company have an AI robot that can replace 70% of the people in their warehouses, Tom.
I think what I see is the biggest area for agents right now is in productivity assistance. So if you look at the way people would develop code for software today, you've got your generative AI assistants that can help you write code, but now you've got agents that can help you automate some of the tests for it or fix bugs in your code for you. So it doesn't replace the developer. The developer is still very much there driving it and saving time and money by being able to do things quicker and faster. And also in sort of productivity assistance, even just outside of development, right? If you look at, a lot of you might be using Zoom as a tool, right, for meetings, right? If you just look at the way they're having an agentic approach now where you can plug in different things, plug in your meeting scheduling tool into Zoom, or plugging in an agent that goes off and creates issues for you in a project tracker as you're on a call. Those types of things are the way I look at the improvement of all of your work lives and personal lives with agentic approaches and with AI in general.
Konstantina.
I will address the elephant in the room. I will be both pessimistic and optimistic. And I will say that in the short term, I think, yes, we can see it. I really believe that AIs will replace some jobs. This is the reality. I can see it in the industry. There are a lot of things happening, and I don't know, is it news to anyone? Can anyone say that they don't see that right now?
Well, somebody's got to get a return on investment, right? So
Exactly.
The investment's going to be millions. How you
Exactly. So if someone can challenge me on that, feel free to. I'll be right outside. So therefore, for now, I'll be pessimistic. What I do think, though, is that as we go out of this, first of all, financial crisis that we are going, I feel, right now into, or are in, we will also understand what are the new types of jobs that are being created and what are the new skills that people need to have. And that means that for us, for all of the people, there will be new jobs created. Therefore, that means that's why I am optimistic. And that's why I'm saying I'm addressing the elephant in the room. So it's a yes and a no. It's not a maybe. It's a yes for now, but no for the future. So we need to keep up to date with what's coming. We need to ensure that we, upskill constantly. We need to make sure that the new generations upskill constantly. And yeah, I mean, it's a wave, right? Without the tractors, the farmers wouldn't be able to do like the industrial revolution, everything. We need to evolve.
Yeah, I mean, I just say for our panel, that this is such a divisive topic. You've got, as you saw in the audience, some people believe it's positive for employment, some people negative, some people believe you need governance and regulation, some people and countries believe that we should race ahead to get the technology implemented. And the panel's agreeing on everything, right? So I want to take away the agreeing on everything and just ask the question, right? Does it work? Do we feel that AI agents are at the level of maturity where we can trust them in business, trust them in schools, trust them in sensitive areas? What do we think?
Okay, I can go first. Like, this is like, does it work or not? This is purely based on my experience, observation.
Or does it work yet? We know it will eventually.
Yeah. So my observation or my opinion is it works for a certain area. It doesn't work at all for another different area. It's sort of moving towards the area that it's gonna work maybe in a year or two's time. So there are many different factors. One, the technology. So the brain of the agents, right now they're large language models, their mathematical foundations are not 100% perfect. There are a lot of things they need to improve. And because of this, the agents won't be able to handle all sorts of scenarios the human is able to handle. What are things that's been working pretty well in terms of the line of business we do, or I can observe from my company, is the massive amount of information retrieval, information summary, being able to filter out information that's gonna serve your purpose, that works pretty well. Our agent can just like go online, connect to various different databases, private data sources, public data sources, scan through millions of records in a couple of seconds' time, then come up with a conclusion. There is potentially 5 or 6 different risk factors for your token. But this is where it works. The part that doesn't work is, based on your risk framework, based on regulatory requirements from your company, from jurisdiction, I can now make a conclusion, this is not safe, or this is safe. This is the part that doesn't work. This requires human guidance here. Say, oh, you can't make that conclusion because you probably don't understand this area well enough comparing with the human expertise. So this is like, there is a fine line where we think the agent can enable a lot of efficiency and a lot of cost reduction that works. There is another part of the puzzle is where it involves a lot of experience, maybe years of experience in the industry, and where it involves a lot of trust. That doesn't really work that well. Is it gonna work? I can't make prediction. It depends on where the large language model is going towards, or whether or not we're gonna still stay with large language model. So this is kind of my current opinion. Yeah.
I think there's I think we're obviously building on the worst model we're ever gonna be building on, which means that, the tech will be there. I think, LLMs are getting better exponentially. I think they do work to do, manual tasks that are quite menial. So if it's a process that you can map out very easily, that can be very easily repeated, and that is not extremely high stake, then I think they work really well. And that's why, I make the point about automating a lot of grunt work. And I think they're not there in terms of the sophistication yet, as you mentioned. So you wouldn't want to give an AI agent complete free reign over, something that requires very deep regulatory or, industry-specific knowledge, for instance. But I do think that they are going to get there, of course. I just think today they're kind of limited in their capabilities. So I would, personally limit them to more manual tasks that are very visible and that you know exactly how they need to be executed, where they need to be executed, and, keep them in that space.
Just think about my answer a little bit, but what are they working? Yes, they are. I'm seeing hundreds of thousands of customers build agentic processes. So what if I look at it and look at what they're doing, is you tend to have a number of different agents. So you have a domain-specific agent that's very good at a particular task. Much like we were moving applications from monoliths to microservices, we've got agents, large agents, and then agents broken down for different domains. And then you have a supervisor agent that looks after those and pulls back all the information. So writing a very domain-specific one that can look up a policy for you in your business data, bring it back together to allow you to book something in a system, that exists today and is very successful, is working well for many different organizations. And then I'm seeing other use cases as well. We were just talking a few times before. I don't know if anyone watches Formula 1. Yeah, at least one fan in the room. Thank you. And what Formula 1 have done with an agentic approach is they And they have lots of data coming in. You can imagine every race. You've got thousands of data feeds coming in of all the things that are sensors on cars, many different things that they try to display on screen on F1 TV. You've got a whole heads up, and it shows you lots of data. They were spending lots of man-hours, up to 15 weeks of man-hours, trying to debug what's going on in that system. And if you think about all of those data feeds, the logs you've got, could be monitoring as well, trying to analyze that can take a long time. Right? So they built an agentic approach that has a number of different agents that go off and pull all that data together. And then actually in a simple chat interface, they can get the agents to try and debug it for them and save on the time that it takes to do that. And I think we're going to see that approach adopted in many different tools. Lots of monitoring tools will start bringing this process if you use those within your organization and other programs. So anything that can do to reduce that time is obviously very useful for the people who are debugging and doing this work.
Perfect. Konstantina.
I'm very glad I've got like 3 technical opinions here, because I'm going to go a bit into the
Disagree with them.
into the theoretical space. No, I'm not going to disagree with them. How many of the people in the audience have kids? I have. Cool, fine. So let's think about the expectations that we've got when our kids were like 3 years old, right? This is what we need to think about, right? So we are expecting of something that's in its infancy stage to actually act as if it's like it's in its mature stage. We're expecting it to act as if it's in its age where the predictive AI is, or to act as if it's been around for so many years, because it's shown that it has a lot of potential, right? So, and what I'm thinking about it is, yes, it has the potential to do amazing things. So give back to it, give it the feedback, feed it back the things that you would expect it to do, train it, and it will give back. It needs some time. It probably is going to do it much faster than the other technologies, the other tools are going to do it, but it's still in its infancy stage. That's why I said I'm going to be a little bit theoretical compared to...
I mean, I'm going to just sort of look at it, right? How many people in the audience agree that that the internet, the information on the internet is 100% correct? Nobody. Right, okay. How many of you believe it's roughly 50% correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So my question is that the agent. So when I used to program back in the day, again showing my age, garbage in, garbage out, right? So if the agent is only as good as the data that it's got, and that data is public data from the internet and from the bookstores that Meta are stealing and other things, right? How accurate is it going to be, right? So we're saying it works, but the audience have just said only 50% of the data is accurate. So how's AI going to AI agents going to be more accurate than a human who has judgment?
Not only that, think about the bias of the people. Like
we are the ones. Western data.
We are the ones that people are programming it, whether we want it or not. We've got unconscious bias in us. Like if you give a data scientist, 2 data scientists, the same set of data, right? Whether they like it or not, they're going to give you potentially. They're going to go towards different directions because they've got unconscious bias. And that's not a bad thing, but it's within our human nature, right? That's why I'm saying it's all about, we need to feed it back, and it's going to get us to that point.
Can I ask something as well, right? So how many people, I think the audience have a lot of knowledge, right? How many people in the audience have heard the rumors that you talk about something on your phone and then it pops up afterwards, right? Okay, so there's also some bias in terms of where it directs you, and so we talked about the travel agent. So if you leave it to an agent, will it take you to the one that is getting a kickback from, or whatever? Does that affect how it works, guys?
One of the things I would slightly challenge on is a lot of the latest models, the evolution of a large language model, where what we're seeing right now is these more advanced models that are showing us their chain of thought. So if you're able to debug and see what this model is doing and almost give it able to give to you what was its process to come to this conclusion or this output, I think that's one step further towards transparency around the way that these models are trained and what data is being outputted and why, right? And is it, even if that's coming from your own data, your own business data, it can tell you if perhaps it's pulled a certain data from a certain data source, and then you can go and correct that, make it more accurate, and Also, of course, all of these interfaces that we have for chatbots and other agentic AI approaches, they all have feedback mechanisms, feedback loops, the thumbs up, thumbs down. You're able to
So you still need people, right?
Yeah,
you still
absolutely.
need judgment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. And I agree with what you're saying, the second point that you made. And I don't know who made the decision to make chat and text the default interface to speaking to an LLM, but it's definitely not the best way, I think, to train it. I think if we had, from the start, gone from a more conversational approach, the feedback loop would be much better, it'd be much more concise, and it'd be much more complete as well. So I do feel like that's probably a big blocker into how things are actually developing, and probably how these things are being trained today.
And I'd just like to add a bit more on top of what you guys have been saying is, from a technical perspective, yes, the garbage in, garbage out as rule of thumb for AI training, that's definitely true. But looking at how we train the models, how the model reacts, and how you prompt model to trigger a sort of chain of thoughts or reasoning process, it can sort of do this. So which means even the model is trained on imperfect data, there is a chance, if you give enough guidance via prompts, via experience, via different kind of forms, it still has the possibility, there's no deterministic, so it has the possibility to be able to identify what's right or roughly wrong. We have been seeing lots of cases when we do due diligence and we gather information from public sources, which means websites. And then the model is able to kind of pinpoint, oh, that's information from this website looks okay, that information contradicts this one, and the third website contradicts this one. Then they have to go and think what exactly going to happen next. It will take action to try to do more sampling, think about the differences, look at the ranking of the websites, and then make a judgment of whether it can resolve this the incompleteness or conflicts between the data. So it has the ability. It's not trained perfectly. We are not trained perfectly based on our education, but we still have the ability to reason a little bit.
But I think it comes back to the earlier point of the 3-year-old versus the 40-year-old and the level of maturity. And if we go back to the 300 million jobs, what I'm hearing from the panel is that not just yet, right? It needs people, it needs judgment. So I think we'll still be in the workforce for a while. But also those 300 million jobs, we've just spoke about internet data. Internet data is not business data, right? So if you want this to work in manufacturing or supply chain or pharmaceutical, you need pharmaceutical data or manufacturing data to be trained and go into LLMs, which are very expensive. So are agents ready for business, right? If they only have public data?
I would take it first is because that's what we build on. We believe in our agent is sort of ready for business, not 100% there. So some of the aspects we might be familiar with, like fine-tuning of the model and then try to bake your training data as much as into the model. We are not doing any of this in Eunice because that didn't really work out. Because the more you fine-tune with business data in the narrow space, the dumb your model gets. That's our observations. It wouldn't be able to reason based on a really
Business
good
data needs to be public data.
It doesn't really matter. So we have business data from private sources as well. So the approach we took is the foundation model or the large language model should have the ability to reason, should have the ability to make sensible judgment or small decisions on the way. While business domain, which is why when we design our agents, we actually have one of the principles. We can't release any of the agents without approval of a domain expert. We design and develop every single agent together with the domain expert, and all the knowledge got baked into a knowledge base and then pumped into the agent as context.
Okay.
So that's kind of how we solve this.
Understood.
problem.
So we got 2 minutes. I want to take one question from the audience, but just really quickly as you can, starting with Tom. Give me a use case where this is working that you know about, right? And if we could just go down. Is it?
Yeah, I've got a great example. We've got a strategic collaboration agreement with Sage, Build Accounting Software. They're a UK software business, and they've released their Copilot to help accountants and other consumers of their applications. So how can they improve the workflow of someone in the day-to-day job within their software application? And there's very domain-specific things in that industry, if you think about it. Understanding accounting, not something I'm particularly good at. It's why those people are employed. So it's assisting those people, and that's available today directly in their software for users to experience.
Perfect. Konstantina?
We're working with Salesforce. I'm also responsible for our CRM. So we've bought Agentforce. Therefore, we're building on top of all of our Salesforce and client data agents that allow us to get, we record our meeting notes, and that allows us to get, sentiment analysis. First of all, a lot of our meeting notes go directly without people writing anything straight into our into Salesforce, and that gets sentiment analysis. They get prompts about products that are being discussed. They're also getting, follow-up actions directly after the meeting note, which the agent suggests, and actually can write draft emails and things like that. So it's a very valuable use case. It saves a lot of people's time.
Okay, Pepe, and then Yiming.
Sure. So we've implemented agents in insurance companies to help them create a real-time data ontology or data map. And then being able to automate things like creation of pipelines, cleaning data, transforming it, loading it, and creating a very good sort of semantic layer on top of their data to have much better visibility and much more efficient processes.
And you got 7 seconds.
Okay. Right, so the agent we deployed for automatically collecting data from public and private sources, then generate DD reports based on your set of questions you ask, which crypto project you're talking about, jurisdictions you want it in, merge the internal knowledge we have about crypto, about due diligence, about regulation, then collect information, make step-by-step planning, allowing people to stay like either human in the loop to intercept and then give suggestions for every single planning step, or human on the loop, you see how everything goes, and then you make a final judgment at the very end. So that worked pretty well. It seems pretty, for one of the major custodian clients we work with, that's 90% of time reduction and cost reduction, and they got to do a lot more interesting work.
Okay. Please give this wonderful panel a round of applause. Now, I don't know, do we have any time for audience questions? Okay, so let's get some questions from the audience. I'm sure you didn't all agree with everything, or you've got some stuff you want to ask. Let's do it. Who's first?
Hi, I'm Jeff, a reporter. I want to know, people use a lot of different automation platforms like NXN or Make.com or Zapier. Do you know about it, and have you used it in your operation?
We didn't use it in our production pipeline because of reliabilities and information security, so we can't pass our client information to this platform. I use it as proof of concept. My view of these tools is in light of the kind of MCP, that kind of concept. They will become the number of tools or part of the tool sets that are going to enhance the AI agents. And that's where I see they will be very useful, very valuable, but they will become just a set of the tools. The agent can make decisions what I can call this, when to call it, should I use it or not. So is that your question? It's sorry, it's been very technical.
Yeah, I mean, we rather like build our own sort of automation framework just for security purposes. It's pretty similar to what you said. We want to have ultimate control of what's happening, what we're building, and not have to audit a third party and understand what their policies are, how they do things. So yeah, we rather keep it in-house.
I had a question to the panel. So as you know, a lot of organizations are very ambitious about using AI agents. And so what would you say is like the top 3 things that they must have in terms of data infrastructure and other processes in order for them to actually go ahead and think about onboarding an AI agent in one of their workflows?
One of the topics actually we discussed in the panel prior to this was prompt engineering, and where does this behave in a world of agents, right? And actually, one of the things with an agent is you still need to instruct it, right? It might be called a prompt, we call it an instruction, and that instruction becomes part of a wider prompt or a prompt template that you have. So really defining what your business problem is that you're trying to solve, right? And being able to distill that down to a set of instructions is one of the key things you need to be able to work out. So what do you want this agent to solve for you? What is the problem? And work backwards from that to define an instruction that you can give to your agent to be able to go off and solve it?
I will say 3 things. The first is data. So data foundation is, to me, it's the key, it's the most important thing you need to have. The second thing is going to be, again, going back to the problem. The fact that companies have this FOMO of missing out, no, that is not the way to go. Ask yourselves, are AI agents the solution? Like, is this the right technology? Because it might not be, right? So ask yourselves, what are you solving for? And then understand if this is the right solution. And then the third thing is the culture and are the teams ready to go for it? Because embedding this change is massive. And I can tell you that because we are in this phase, and it's very, very hard. And it might be very hard, and you might go through all of this process, you might spend a lot of money, and maybe the culture and the teams are not ready to adopt it.
I think I'll just add one more thing, and that's a very good business context. Because sometimes I feel, I mean, it happens to me, when I work with an LLM or, with agents, I expected to know 100% of the things that I know about how I do things, how my business does things, how our internal processes work. And then when you see an execution that might not seem like it's working correctly, you're like, wait, so it forgot to do X, Y, or Z. But it's not because it's not doing it well, it's because I forgot to tell it that it needs to take that into account. So having a very well-documented business kind of process, context, it's super important to have good automation.
I would just add one more thing is agent or agentic large language model, whatever, they are a piece of technology. So for any firm to bring up the business value is probably the first thing you want to do is identify where is the most painful pain point. Once you get a pinpoint, you probably then can build a case. Then you can use all sorts of technology to solve this. Is agent going to be the best one? I hope it is, because I'm really in love with this technology. But if it is not, solving the pinpoint is probably the highest priority for any firm.
I think we're out of time, Ray. Okay, one more round of applause for the audience. Catch them off.